It happened right there behind my house. The late summer sun was still casting a golden glow across our backyard, and I could taste the salt from the sweat dripping down my lips. My legs trembled as I held onto the rough edge of the half-fixed fence. His big hands were firm, yet they explored me like a man who had waited years for this moment. I felt him press against me from behind, his tool thick and demanding. I did not resist. I could not. My white sundress was already bunched up around my waist, my panties hanging from one ankle. He groaned in my ear, deep and hungry, and I whispered his name like a confession. I felt every stretch of him inside me, pulsing, dominant, unforgettable. When I finally drained his tool, my knees buckled. I had just committed the worst betrayal of my life with my black neighbor Marcus, and the worst part. I wanted more. Before I dive into this raw and honest confession, I want to say a huge thank you to everyone who has subscribed to this channel. Your support keeps this platform alive. If you are new here or have been watching without subscribing, I truly appreciate you as well. I cannot wait for you to hit that subscribe button because that is the fuel that powers this story engine. Please remember to leave your thoughts in the comments. I read every one of them, and your opinions shape the next stories we tell. Now let me take you back to how it all began. My name is Emily. I am 37 years old, a white housewife living in a peaceful neighborhood in Texas. My husband Michael is a good man, reliable, predictable, a mortgage advisor who loves spreadsheets more than he ever touched me in the past 3 months. Then there is Marcus, 6 feet 3 inches, dark chocolate skin, and muscles that seem to stretch the sleeves of every shirt he wears. He lives 2 houses down with his teenage daughter. His wife left him years ago. I have always seen him as that handsome, quiet neighbor who mowed his lawn shirtless and occasionally waved at me while I watered my flowers. Our fence had been falling apart for weeks. Michael kept saying he would fix it, but the man barely had time for dinner, let alone handyman work. One Friday morning, while sipping wine by the back porch, I saw Marcus walk over, wearing worn-out jeans and a sleeveless shirt soaked with sweat. He pointed at the fence. I noticed this has been falling apart. Want me to help fix it? I nodded too quickly, my voice caught in my throat. Yes, thank you. That would be great. That same afternoon, I changed into a sundress that showed just enough cleavage and clung a little tighter to my hips. I told myself it was just to stay cool in the heat, but deep down, I knew I wanted to be noticed. The first hour of work was innocent. I brought him lemonade, laughed at his dry jokes, watched the way his arms flexed with every hammer hit. I caught myself staring. He caught me too. You all right, Emily? He asked, wiping his forehead. Hot, I replied, not sure if I meant the weather or him. Maybe both. When he stood up from kneeling, our eyes locked. That moment was thick with silence, no birds, no wind, just heat. His gaze was bold, like he was undressing me right there in the open, and I let him. I could use a break, he said. There's shade behind the fence, I offered. No one ever goes back there. He followed me behind the fence, out of sight from the street, the houses, the world. My heart thumped in my chest like a drum in a marching band. He stood inches from me, and I could feel his breath. He leaned in slowly. I should have backed away. I should have said no. But I did not. When our lips met, it was not gentle. It was fire. My back hit the fence. His hand slid up my thigh. My sundress lifted. No words were spoken. His tool was already hard when he pushed my panties aside. He moved with control, like a man who knew exactly how to make a woman surrender. I felt him stretch me, thick, full, filling every empty space I did not know I had. I held on to the fence, moaning, gasping, while he pounded deeper into me with every thrust. I had never been taken like that, not even by my husband. It was raw. It was raw. It was raw. When he finally came, I felt every drop. I was shaking, soaked, and shamefully satisfied. We both stood there, breathless, no words, just heavy breathing and swollen hearts. I returned home, panties stuffed into my purse, my thighs sticky with betrayal. Michael came home that evening, kissed my cheek, and thanked me for reminding Marcus about the fence. I smiled and nodded, pretending everything was fine. But it was not, because deep in my body, I still felt Marcus, and I wanted to feel him again. I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I felt the fence press against my back, heard the moan I let out when Marcus filled me, and tasted the guilt sitting heavy on my tongue. My thighs were still sore, not just from what we did, but from how much I wanted it. And worse, how much I still wanted more. I laid next to my husband Michael, his back turned to me as usual. He had fallen asleep early after dinner, too tired to notice how long I had lingered in the bathroom. I stood there for over 30 minutes, legs trembling, scrubbing myself raw under the shower, hoping I could wash the memory away. But nothing cleansed me of Marcus. The next morning was quiet, too quiet. Michael left for work early, dropping a kiss on my forehead. I pretended to be asleep. It was easier than lying with my eyes open. The minute the door shut behind him, I rushed to the mirror. I looked at myself, naked, flushed, still marked. There were faint bruises on my hips from where Marcus had held me tight. My neck still had the taste of sweat and sun and shame. I made coffee, but I could not taste it. I cleaned the kitchen twice. I tried reading a magazine, but every word blurred behind the same thought: what if it happens again? I told myself it was just a one-time mistake, but my body said otherwise. By noon, I was staring out the window, watching Marcus rake leaves near his porch, shirtless again. His skin glistened in the sunlight like bronze dipped in oil. He caught me watching. I did not look away. And then he smiled. I knew what that smile meant. Later that afternoon, I went outside under the excuse of checking the repaired fence. He was already there, pretending to inspect the wood. "You missed a spot," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. He turned, looked at me with eyes that stripped me bare. "No," he said. "I did not miss anything. But maybe you came to see if I did." I felt my throat tighten. I wanted to say something smart, something to pretend like I had control, but I had none. He moved closer, brushed his fingers against my elbow, and I almost collapsed into him. He leaned in, whispered low, "You want to talk about what happened yesterday?" I nodded, but we did not talk. We ended up inside his garage. It was hot, dark, and smelled of oil and wood and man. He pushed the workbench aside like it was made of feathers. I sat on it without being told. My sundress lifted again, as if it remembered what happened yesterday. He knelt between my legs, and this time he kissed slowly, deeply, like he wanted to taste every inch of my guilt. When he stood up, I reached down, unzipped his jeans, and pulled out the very thing that ruined me the day before. It was thick, black, powerful. I wrapped my hand around it and lowered my mouth slowly, watching him bite his lip. I drained him until his hands clenched my hair, until he gasped my name like it was the only word he remembered. And when he came, I swallowed it all. The shame returned the second I wiped my lips and stood. "Emily," he whispered, breathing hard. "What are we doing?" I could not answer. I just kissed him once and left. That evening, Michael came home early. He brought flowers, tulips, my favorite. Guilt hit me like a brick to the chest. "I thought we could go out this weekend," he said. "Just us. Maybe rekindle a little fire." I smiled, lied, told him that sounded wonderful. Later that night, we made love, or at least he tried. He was gentle, too gentle. He barely lasted 5 minutes. He asked if I came. I lied again, said I did, kissed him, rolled over, and cried silently into my pillow because in that moment, I realized something terrifying. I was no longer making love to my husband. I was comparing him to my neighbor, and Michael never stood a chance. The next day, I avoided Marcus. I knew if I saw him again, I would cave. I focused on chores, folded laundry that was already folded, ironed clothes that did not need it. I scrubbed the kitchen floor until my knees ached. But the more I resisted, the stronger the pull became. And then, just when I thought I had survived the day, there was a knock at the back door. I opened it, and there he was, shirtless again. "You left this on my porch," he said, holding up a pink lace thong I had not even realized I lost. He stepped inside without waiting for an invitation, closed the door behind him. I backed away, but my body betrayed me. When he kissed me, I melted again. After that, it was not just a mistake. It was a pattern, a secret, a second life. One day at a time, I sank deeper into the affair. My bed belonged to Michael, but my body, my craving, belonged to Marcus. And for every moment I spent wrapped in his arms, the guilt thickened in my chest like tar. I knew it was only a matter of time before the truth shattered everything, because secrets this dirty never stay buried. It was a Tuesday morning, quiet, ordinary, the kind of day no one expects will end in disaster. Michael had kissed me goodbye, just like always, but this time, something about it felt different, like he knew something, or maybe I was just paranoid because by then, I had become a professional liar. Every smile was fake, every dinner I served, every kiss goodnight, every moan in bed, all of it was wrapped in deceit. My real passion lived across the fence, under my skin, and in my soaked panties every time I saw Marcus outside. I told myself it was just sex, that it meant nothing, that I still loved my husband. But that was the worst lie of all. It was around noon when I heard the soft knock on the kitchen door, the knock that had become familiar, the knock that woke up every nerve in my body. I opened the door and found Marcus standing there, no smile, no tease, just a serious look on his face. "We need to talk," he said. I stepped aside. He walked in and stood near the sink, rubbing his palms together like he was nervous. I had never seen him that way. "I cannot keep doing this, Emily," he said. "You are married. This is wrong." I should have nodded. I should have agreed. I should have ended it right there. But instead, I stepped closer and whispered, "Then why does it feel so right?" He grabbed me and kissed me hard, like he was angry at himself for needing me. My back slammed against the refrigerator. My fingers tore at his belt. I moaned as he slid inside me, deep, raw, unforgiving. There, in my kitchen, on the floor, with the curtains open, it was the filthiest, most reckless thing we had ever done, and I loved every second of it. As wicked as Woods, I laid on the cold tile, still half naked, panting, legs trembling. He pulled his pants back up and said, "This has to be the last time." "I mean it." But I knew he would come back, and I knew I would let him in. We were past the point of no return. That evening, Michael came home with a strange look in his eyes, not angry, not suspicious, just cold. He asked, "Did anything interesting happen today?" I froze for a second, then shook my head. "No, just chores." He nodded, eyes still locked on mine. "Emily," he said slowly, "do you remember the security cameras I installed last year when we thought someone was stealing packages?" My heart stopped. I had forgotten all about them. He continued, "I checked the footage today. Just wanted to test them." Silence. Then he asked, "Care to explain why your neighbor was in our kitchen for over an hour?" I opened my mouth, but no words came out. He stood up and walked to the living room. When he returned, he had a flash drive in his hand. "I saw everything," he said. "Everything." I could not breathe. My knees buckled. I dropped to the floor and cried. "I am sorry," I whispered. "I never meant to," he cut me off. You did it more than once. Do not insult me with sorry. I reached for his hand, but he stepped back. I want a divorce. The days that followed were a blur: papers, lawyers, silent dinners, cold nights. He moved into the guest room. Eventually, he stopped talking to me completely. Marcus, he vanished. He stopped coming to his porch. His garage stayed locked. His house went dark. He had gotten what he wanted and left me in ruins. Michael moved out. Just like that, I lost everything: my marriage, my dignity, and the only man who ever truly loved me, all because I could not resist what was forbidden, because I let lust blind me, because I drained more than Marcus's tool. I drained my own life. Now I sit alone in this quiet house. Every creak in the floorboard reminds me of the love I destroyed. Every glance at the fence reminds me of the man who ruined me and the woman I let myself become. And if I could go back, would I do it all over again? That is the hardest part. I still do not know the answer.